Hello and welcome to the EduCon Podcast, where we speak to higher education institutions to understand what's happening in the ever-changing world of education. This is Janhavi Pawar, and this conversation is brought to you by Java and Skoda. Today we have some very interesting speakers from our AICon Gala, where we have people not just from academia, but also from industry. I hope you have a great time listening to this podcast. My next guest comes from a small town in Chhattisgarh and is now leading one of the most promising AI-driven EdTech ventures. Mr. Abhishek Nakhate has lived the challenges that millions face when it comes to battling the complex grounds of overseas education. He is the CEO and founder of Zoom Abroad. Today we're going to talk about how EdTech is really changing the world and also not just admissions, but even the face of global education itself. So we have our next guest, who is Mr. Abhishek Nakhate. You are an entrepreneur. You've had multiple successful exits. I'm very excited to hear about your latest venture as well. Thank you so much for being on set with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course. You come from a small town in Chhattisgarh, and now you're here in London. Tell me how this journey was for you.
That's the unique question, actually, because many times in parties I go in, when people ask you where you're from, it's a very difficult question for me because I'm a very much of a cocktail, right? Maharashtrian guy. My grandparent moved to Chhattisgarh, right? So we are originally from Nagpur, but my grandparent moved to Chhattisgarh. And I grew up in a small village called Akashnagar. It was a 900 people population, very small town, but it was fully developed because it was the iron ore mine. My dad worked there. It was the scarcity, what I experienced there, scarcity of information, scarcity of knowledge, not as much about food, and thankfully my parents were doing well, and so that was not the case. But then the scarcity of information, that made me a very curious kid from a very early age. I was curious about how things are done outside here, how people talk, how people wear, what do they study to become what, how much do they earn, and stuff like that, how different businesses work and stuff like that. So I think it worked in my advantage that I was from a very small town. That gave me a very important skill in my life, is to be curious about everything. And being curious led to gaining more and more knowledge and information, and gaining more knowledge gave me more confidence to do things. I think it wasn't, it feels like it was all planned.
Got it. Wonderful. I think you've had a very interesting life, and you've had, of course, some very interesting businesses as well that you've built. So Zoom Abroad, which is your current baby, right? Tell me more about that, and how is that different compared to other products that we see on the market?
Sure. So connecting the dots from where I grew up from. So, growing up from Chhattisgarh's jungles, actually, I would say, I did my bachelor's from Hyderabad, right? I did my biotechnology. But around second year of my degree, I realized that I'm more of a entrepreneur, innovator. I like science. I still like science. I still read Nature and magazines, what's happening in biotechnology and so. But then early I realized my strengths and interests were more into business. So I decided to go abroad and do my studies. So I came to UK almost 20 years ago, 2006, early. So that's where the idea of establishing something that can help student to travel abroad and study abroad, because study abroad was just more than education. It was more of an experience, right? You basically question normal perceptions that you have, right? You see the new life, new way of thinking things and new way of living things. So some things were wrong in India were right here, and vice versa, right? And so that gave me a new perspective. But then this process of coming from India to recognized good university, matched university in the UK or anywhere in the world was not very easy, right? And that's where I thought that every student should have a transparent options in front of them, that what they're eligible for, right? I studied in a good university in Cardiff, but then at that point, I did not know I could have gone to Oxford or Cambridge as well. There was no guidance available. There was a lack of internet at that point. Like we need to go to internet cafes and stuff like that, right? So there was not enough information or guidance available. And that left me with a scar to say that, okay, that has happened. But then the kids now need to know what their strengths, what their interest, and what they can afford. I mean, like, what are their options? So we decided to create a platform where the students can actually, without any bias, have a transparent information about what universities, what courses, their pros, their cons, and it is very technologically focused. So we use various AI algorithms to match the student with the best fit. We have one of the world's largest database of scholarship, because we know Indian students, of course, are focused on two important things, either scholarship or getting the job, right? So we created products around that. We created the database of scholarships. We created collaboration with companies here so that we can train the students for the graduate job here, right? And then we were very different than other agencies because we never believed in office-based consultation, because my plan was going global. My plan was making it bigger. So we were never believed in brick and mortar kind of an office area. Rather, we had a platform and we had a team initially before COVID based and concentrated in Pune. But then after COVID, we were not sure what's going to happen. So we were completely 100% work from home company, right? Recently, we started rebuilding the offices and getting back to the offices from 2023 onwards. But good 3-4 years, we were completely work from home, everybody working from home. And it was an amazing experience. So that gave us 2-3 things: the scalability, that I could hire talent from Bangalore to Mumbai to Kashmir, I don't know, wherever I get the talent. So there was no limit to it. But of course, there were cons to it as well, right? The juniors, the employees, to manage them was a task. But ultimately, we built a system where things could be automated. In my talk, you would have heard that we realized that around 45% of the students registering online are doing after 12 a.m. right? And that was quite intriguing for us. Like, my staff could not stay for 12 a.m. call to call them and speak to them. And then if you call them in the morning in the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, they're sleeping or they're in the school or universities, right? So you would miss out on that. So that's where we started to create AI telecaller, where the AI telecaller can call immediately. It can work 24/7, right? As soon as the registration comes in. So we started to build, not that every experiment we did was successful. We failed many times, but then the ones that is working, that is bringing new era of growth, scalability, and so on and so forth. So the reason that we started Zoom Abroad is to bring transparent platform for the students to study abroad. That was the core belief. And I experienced studying abroad as an experience more than education, has changed the life, that changed the way I think, that changed how I started to behave and look into things into much global level rather than a, confined. So so that's why Zoom Abroad pertains here.
Wonderful. And when we look at, say, even the education world today, right, I would say that it is quite hard to navigate in terms of, let's say, with the ever-changing world where we see visa issues or we see a little bit of geopolitical issues, right? How do you perceive that?
No, this is a problem with this industry, of course, because this is driven by politics. It is driven by policies, and but then things. What happened is we specialized in UK because I'm based here in the UK and we have office in India. So India to UK was a direct relation, but we realized that we need to spread the eggs, not put everything in the one basket. So as long as you're dealing with different countries, if Canada goes up, right, immigration tightens up, Australia goes, easier, or vice versa. But then this is the time, 2024-25, where almost all the countries like Canada has tightened the immigration laws. The U.S., the president is making some
Yes.
decisions that not everybody likes it. Then UK has recently launched a white paper of, the immigration changes and the job changes. So it is Australia again has some limits that they have applied. So it is for the first time that I'm experiencing that there are quite a bit of a tension. But then we have seen it before that it will relax when the demand of labor. Many people, especially the government, where they do go wrong is they start to see student as an immigrant, right? But actually, it is not. Student is a student. It is not an immigrant. And when you start to calculate the student number to the immigration numbers or the immigration data, and that's where everything messes up, right? But then this is an industry, it's an ever-growing industry. From India, around 9 lakh students every year go abroad to study, right? Overall, there are like 8 million students are traveling, and I'm only talking about higher education. If you add boarding schools, language schools, and whatnot, it would be much bigger number. So it is an ever-growing industry. It is predicted to cross 10 million in next 2-3 years, right? Overall. So these things are a part and parcel of the business, I guess.
Right, right. And when we look at you, apart from being just a founder, you're also an investor. Right? Can you talk to me a little bit more about that? Are there any specific startups that you like to invest in? Is it a certain sector that you're drawn to?
Yeah. So something I really want to do is I like innovation, right? I like to do things differently, and that's why I have created various different companies and products as well. But then there is a limitation to what I can do, right? I would lose focus and try to juggle too many balls, and that's where I thought if I can't do, I can support somebody who can do. And that's the core thesis of me investing in people or the startup. So I am a angel investor. I'm not a part of any fund. I would invest in anything that is scalable technology. I'm sector agnostic, but then education remains my, sweet spot, actually. But then now AI, since we are growing a lot into AI has taken the, predominant movement. So I always look for founders, those who are not doing it just for money. Right, that is the first filter, because more people think that okay, startup is bigger valuation, bigger money, but then those excitements fade very quickly because it requires commitment. It will require long hours. We were talking about it. It required rigorous rubbing against the odds. So it requires passion for you to sustain that. If you're just doing for money, you would get bored, the motivation would fade away and you would leave it. But then for me, the first and foremost thing that I look into a founder is how passionate and how involved they are, right, about the idea, and where did this idea come from? Is it a personal experience, or is it you have seen something or something closer that you have experienced, right? Otherwise, just an idea out of the blue, I can do this and I can do that. May do good, but then that doesn't fit into my thesis normally. So yeah, that's kind of investment I do time to time. Yeah.
Got it. And for any students who want to go abroad who are watching this, do you have any words of advice to them?
Yes, definitely. So students, those who are looking to go abroad, you need to plan a bit early, right? A lot of students do this mistake of the last hour. Many universities would still accept last hour application, but you would miss out on good universities. You would miss out on good scholarships, and you would be hustling through the visa problems if you are keeping it at the very last moment, right? Other than that, a lot of information is available on our website. We have all the AI bots who can help you, and the human elements, the expertise as well, subject to subject. So I normally advise students not to start with the university, which university you want to go on to. Always you should think about what course you want to study, first of all. So the first question to solve is, what do you like? What is your interest? And what is your strength? And the overlap between the strength and interest becomes your, career. So it is important to invest some time alone as a student to understand what you want and what you're good at, rather than just doing what parents are saying or what friends are doing, right? Not to get influenced with that. So once that exercise has been done, it requires a mentor or a coach normally. So speak to us or speak to anybody that you can trust, would give a fair advice. And once that has been established, once the course has been established, then of course you can plan about which university, what ranking, what money, wherever, right? So that part is quite easier. But then this has to happen at least 12 months in advance, right? So if you're planning for September 2026, this is the time the application are already started. Oxford, Cambridge applications are already started now. So you need to plan ahead. If you need to apply in October, November in 25, you need to start thinking somewhere in September or August, right? So that's where probably some of the brighter students as well miss the boat, right? I've seen, there was, without taking the name, there was a talented girl from Delhi. She wrote papers, got published in physics, in respectable papers, but then she missed a boat because the planning wasn't there, right? Great grades, right? Great attitude and everything, but then she had to wait a year, which is okay. In a bigger scheme of work, 1 year we should not make a difference, but then it could have been saved. So planning is important. Self-realization, self-analysis is quite important. Don't rush into any university, any course, because in my opinion, you would probably do this degree once in your life, right? Most of us do a degree once in our life. Maybe some people does a couple of times, but then it is a bigger investment. Think through it.
Got it. This has been a very insightful conversation.
Thank you.
I think we've learned so much, even about your venture, the kind of things that you do. It's been a very enlightening talk with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Janhavi. Pleasure to have you. Pleasure to be here. And let's keep in touch. Thank you very much for having me.